Welcome to the Conscious Broadcast. I'm Danielle Kane, and I have a lovely guest today, Kristin Krumm, and I'm going to do a little bit of a introduction about what she's up to and talk a little bit about how we met. It's usually how I get started. So
Right.
I have her right here. I'm just going to kind of read it off. So you're a resin artist, occupational therapist, level 2 Reiki practitioner, and probably most importantly, the caregiver of her warrior sister, Robyn. Really was probably, gosh, like 20 something years ago.
20, yeah, I would say that's probably how long it's been. Yeah.
And so, yeah, well, first of all, I commend you for all that you're doing on top of caring for your sister. So we'll talk a little bit about her if you don't mind. But
Yeah, that's fine.
yeah, so most people
Because that
know,
all kind of interweaves in
yeah, it all
everything.
interweaves. And most people that have watched have heard me bring up that I co-own a gym with my husband, Brian. But really, Brian was the one who's gotten to know you guys. And then with bringing Robyn to the gym and working with her one-on-one, I got to meet her as well, and you and your mom. So
Yeah.
why don't you start off with a little bit about yourself, kind of like how you got
Okay.
started, your connection with what you've done with your family, and then you can get into the OT, and then the most recent stuff, the resin and Reiki work.
Yeah. Okay, so I would say it started really early in my life. My sister was born with medical problems. And then it all kind of came to a head when she was 4 years old and she had a massive seizure that left her with some brain damage and then further complications later on down the road. But I knew watching her when she went to special education schools that I wanted to become an occupational therapist and help others like they were helping her.
Mm-hmm.
And it was kind of, I was torn between OT and PT. So for those that don't know, physical therapy is more of a gross motor, more of a helping you with your gait and walking and large muscle movements. And OT is kind of more abstract. It's kind of more of your daily living activities and helping you live to the best you can in your life, in your everyday life.
Yeah.
Those little things that you kind of take for granted, like picking up a spoon, feeding yourself, going to the bathroom, those kinds of things in your daily life. And it was also a little more creative, being in pediatrics, handwriting, also watching all the sensory stuff that you help kids with. So that's when I made the decision. And I was only like 10 years old when I made the decision I wanted to go become an occupational therapist.
Well, and I think that it's not by coincidence. I mean, sometimes I think we already know the guidance coming in. We just can't understand how we know.
Yeah, we're kind of put on a path, I think,
Yeah, absolutely.
And so then
Mm-hmm.
I kind of just kept watching and learning from different therapists at the school she was at and as she matured. And then I just kind of put myself on that path, from an early life and was like, I'm destined to just keep going for this. And I knew I only wanted to go to Thomas Jefferson University. That was like, some people said I was putting all my eggs in one basket, just going there and not applying anywhere else. But luckily, I did my undergrad schools at Camden County Community College, and then found out my mom helped me find out what I needed to get into Jefferson, and I did my coursework and my volunteer work and stuff, and then I applied, and luckily I got in on my first try.
That's
And
great.
did my bachelor's and got my bachelor's from Jefferson.
Mm-hmm.
And so that led me, and I actually did some volunteer work at one of my sister schools, like I was doing slowly throughout the years. And then I started off just in an inclusionary daycare and doing some OT consult work for 5 years. which was really a good foundation. Some people say that they just jumped into applying wherever they could to start working, but I think it, like you said, it was a path that I was led on. I met a lot of great people, a lot of families and other professionals that I think helped me now to this day.
Yeah.
And then eventually I switched over. There was a position that opened up in the school portion. And I stayed there at the school for 18 years.
Wow.
Uh,
What school was this?
Robyn School at St. John of God.
Yeah.
So,
Wow.
yeah, so I stayed there total of 18 years. And that was just shortly before the pandemic.
Yeah.
So
Wow.
yeah, I learned a lot of great things. Really focused in on a lot of sensory integration, kids with autism and kids with severe medical needs.
Hmm. Did you find that staying in this role really helped assist your sister and your family life?
Yeah, I mean, it was difficult to balance a lot of that time because my sister was going in and out of hospitals for revisions of her shunt and with her neurosurgeon.
Yeah.
So a lot of times it was difficult to balance the work life and the home life with caring for my sister.
Did you feel
But
like because it's constant caring, or what did you
yeah,
feel? Yeah.
yeah, there is constant, it's constant caring, constant learning and stuff. But also her physicians are so amazing that I also was learning from her physicians at the same time.
Yeah.
Um, so those things really did help,
Hmm.
and they also helped me as a individual and as a practitioner, as an OT.
Hmm.
And that those things you can't put a price on, learning all that
Right.
information and everything, so
Yeah. I mean, my heart goes out to you guys because I know that the time frame that we've known you and Robyn, first meeting Robyn, even though she'd been with Brian for a couple years before we opened the gym, and then when she was coming through, and then you would have progress, and then boom, something would come up, and that
yeah, something would happen.
mental
She's not,
toughness and still like that open heart to be able to be by her
yeah,
side
she's
when
had
you
a
never knew.
total probably over, I think 10, close to 12 brain surgeries
I mean,
revising, and she just baffles
God
me,
wants her to be alive. That's all I have to
you
say.
know, and
She
she
is
just
a
baffles
warrior.
me. She just baffles me with the amount of plasticity that her brain has.
Yeah.
That there's areas that I think are just so strong, in remembering things, and areas of her brain that aren't functioning well, but there's areas of her brain, her language and stuff, and things that she comes up with that you just are amazed, that
Yeah.
she just can do those things.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah. So
What are some of the qualities about your sister that you can share, if you don't mind giving an example of
her
something
humor,
that
her humor is definitely
Mhm.
one,
She is funny and she loves her sports teams.
she loves her sports team. She's watching the Phillies baseball games right now. She loves her football. Don't bother her on a Sunday. She will actually tell me like, "Shh, I'm watching the game."
Gosh,
Like,
and she's really
you know,
into it too.
she is into it, and she's learned the scores to watch the scoreboard on the screen, to read it, who's playing. She has her own names for some of the plays, like the field goal is the kickover, but like she knows the teams and knows who's playing and everything.
Oh, that's
That's her
great.
her
Does she
thing.
still remember Joe Flacco?
Oh my gosh, she knows Joe Flacco. She knows he wore purple, what team he played for. She knows
Wow.
he signed a shirt and a hat, and she took pictures with him. Her memory is like better
She
than
is
some of ours.
sharp. Wow. And I will say
That
this to the
area.
audience, as I had said before, one of the professional athletes that we currently train, and at that time was Joe Flacco, where he was the MVP
Hmm.
quarterback for the Ravens,
Yeah.
and he was so gracious to do a signing. And Robyn was, I don't know if Robyn, she was there. She did come because
Yeah,
we did
she was
a
there. She
whole,
came.
I think we did a whole charity event for St. John of
Yeah,
God.
we did a
And
whole
that's
charity
right.
event. Yeah.
Yeah.
And one of
And
the families that I stay in touch with, yeah, I have pictures with them and everything too. And it's she remembers everything.
yeah,
Yeah,
that was
that's one
fun.
area that is strong. Yeah, that was very fun.
Yeah.
Um,
Awesome. Well, how is she doing now? And then we'll kind of shift in a little bit more about you.
She's doing, yeah, she's doing good. I mean, she has her mobility issues. Um, but there's things that are, you know, we're working on,
Yeah, because you're her full-time caregiver now.
My mom and I, yeah, we
Yes.
share caregiving responsibilities with her. Yeah. But she loves to go on vacation. She's always asking when we're going to go the next place. She loves her music. We go see a lot of concerts.
Yeah.
Um, and she's lucky to be able to have some opportunities that we have to go meet some of the bands.
That's awesome.
Um,
See,
and
she
they
knew
love
she was going to have a way in somehow. She's like, I'm going to get to meet everybody.
yeah, she loves it. And it's great when we can get her out of her wheelchair and standing up to go see them. So
Yeah. Awesome.
she just loves being out and seeing people and meeting people. So
Good. Well, thank you for giving me an update and for
you're
being
welcome.
a
Yeah, we
wonderful
hope.
sister and caregiver.
Yeah, we
Seriously.
hope sometime we'll be able to get out and see you guys soon. So
Yes. Well, we would love that. You know that. So,
yeah,
okay. So tell me a little bit about your intuition, this empathic connection that you have. Is it something that
yeah, yeah.
along the way you were finding, I feel like I sense something, or have you always known and
I
now it's getting
think
stronger?
I think I've always been an empath in during my life. I think that that's a difficult thing because you kind of feel everybody's feelings when you're an
Hmm.
empath,
Yeah.
you know. Um and I kind of had that, I think, for most of my life, most of
Yeah.
my adult life, I would say. I think some of my childhood I probably did too, but
Well, you weren't
um
aware of it until you were in adult life, but you
yeah,
probably were very
but I
empathic as a
probably
child.
was as
I
a
mean, I
child.
think the fact that you already knew your path, I think you tuned right into
Yeah.
what
Yeah.
your calling was, and now you're really sensing all these other things now as an adult.
Yeah, and I think it's always been, in my adult life now, and I think just the profession that I chose, being an OT,
Yeah.
that kind of is an empathic and a compassionate,
Yeah.
thing. And then also kind of where I specialize
Hmm.
in my profession with pediatrics, and then even bringing that down into a niche even more with families that have kids with severe medical needs,
Yeah.
um, is even more empathic and compassionate because I've been on some committees and end of life care committees and even on some hospice with some families, which I'm on one with right now with a close friend, with their son. So I think you need to have that kind of nature about you and
Yeah.
know more about the universe and the culture and things like that, and have that kind of nature about you,
Yeah.
and with those kinds of things. Um,
Yeah. That's some heavy work too.
yeah, yeah, yeah. It kind of weighs on you, and you need to, know how to deal with it with the individuals and with yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's awesome. I didn't know you were doing those things
Yeah,
as well.
I had been doing them when I was working at the school, and then kind of if I have some friends that have that kind of thing, then I kind of step into that kind of role too.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah, definitely.
um, but yeah, so around the time with the pandemic, that's when I kind of switched roles from working in a school system, and I kind of needed at my home situation to kind of be more present with caregiving and stuff. So that's kind of where I switched, to more of a full-time caregiver
Hmm.
position.
Hmm.
And then I was just doing consultative OT stuff. And then I was always kind of interested in Reiki, my whole life, adult life as my OT life, going to workshops and things at conferences and learning a little bit about it and things like that. And then I was like, And I had a friend that was an OT colleague that was from South Africa, and she was a Reiki practitioner.
Hmm.
So that kind of always intrigued me a little bit, learning about it. And so there came an opportunity just recently, this past March, where they were doing an online course where you could get certified in it. So I was like, you know what, look into it. And I was only going to do the level 1 course, but once I got into it, I was like, I need to do level 2. I need to
Yeah,
finish this out, you know. So I added on the level 2 to get certified as a practitioner in it.
that's
So
great. I did the level 1. I didn't complete the level 1 because I wasn't quite ready. Like, where I think you kind of have to know, is this something that you can
you did? Yeah.
actively participate in your life? And I was quite okay with someone giving me Reiki instead of, I don't know.
Yeah.
I had a hard time with the routine. I'm one like, I want to do it all. Just give it to me all.
Yeah. Well, I think it like level 1 was like so eye-opening for me when
Mm.
I did it, like because I felt so blocked
Yeah.
and so stressed when I went into the first course in my
Hmm.
life. And it wasn't only that I wanted to be able to do it as a practitioner, but I wanted it for self-care for myself.
Absolutely.
And so I went in to learn about it, and also then finding out about it myself and doing it over a Zoom like this. We were put into breakout rooms, so you were receiving it with people all over the world that were
Ooh,
in
that's
this,
cool.
you know. So I was in with someone that was from India. That was one of the people I had. And so you're giving distance Reiki to each
Yeah.
other and in a virtual situation, and then you're learning about how each other felt afterwards. And it was very eye-opening because the people were actually expressing kind of what you felt, and you're expressing what it's the same thing. And you're like, whoa, you know, that was really deep, you
Yeah.
know. Um, and then bridging the whole thing with your chakras, if people don't really, you know, your audiences don't really know, but you have what, 7 chakras in your system, and you know, they range from your root all the way up through your head and your heart, and opening those different areas helps open up your communication, your ability
Hmm.
to love
Oh,
and accept
yes.
love. And I think some of mine were blocked, and after that course, the first level, they were open that night. I felt totally different.
Hmm.
um my stress was kind of more relieved. I didn't feel so anxious, so frustrated. I actually had like warmth going down my leg during the one Reiki, virtual Reiki, like it was going out, something was going out of my body
Yeah.
through
That's
it.
awesome.
And that's what they say, you know, when you're either giving Reiki or you're receiving Reiki, is sometimes you feel like a warmth in your palms, or you feel a coldness, or the person receiving it will feel the warmth in that area of their body. And that's kind of like what I was feeling. So
That's awesome. So after you got your certification, what type of Reiki style do you like to do, or what are you dabbling with?
right now I've just been practicing with some friends. I'm considering probably in 2024, probably starting something in the distance Reiki, not anything like a business somewhere where you can come, because I don't have that resources yet. But probably starting with something online where you can sign up for something like this, like a Zoom distance Reiki.
Yeah. And I
Um,
did a distance Reiki, which I really enjoyed. I interviewed, I don't know if you saw the episode, but with Ian Robinson, and we
yeah,
weren't even on a call together. He just needed a few
yeah.
things. He wanted me to be laying down for about an
Mhm.
hour or whatever. I think the session that I chose was an hour. But I didn't even know we weren't going to be like this. And then afterwards, he recorded the work that he did and the feedback from the session. And I was
Yeah,
shocked at what he had to say. He was spot on, but we didn't even talk at
yeah,
all. And I just put on relaxing music, like
yeah.
more.
That's simple. And there's actually um forms of distance Reiki where you can connect with your loved ones that have passed.
Yeah. We'll have to
Um,
practice.
yeah. And then you can also, I mean, it's even distance where you're just giving Reiki and asking for permission. And it's not even that the person knows you're going to be doing Reiki.
Right.
You
You're
know,
just
you're
asking
just
for
sending the
permission.
light and energy out to people. And that was one thing that I did with one of my friends that I knew she was going through a difficult time. And so I'm like, I'm just going to send some Reiki out into the universe. And I'm going to ask, if it's okay. And you just felt that there was permission. And so as I'm doing it, my hands got really hot, like
Mm,
as I'm sending the energy out to her. And it was just, you felt that it was being received and that's what's going to happen. And then the next day she was like, I felt something, so you knew it was working. It was, she was receiving the healing energy that you were,
yeah.
sending. And you're really just as we learned, the tube, and it's just being the universe, is just guiding that light and energy through you and out of you to,
Yes.
the
I love
individual.
that. Yep.
Um,
How
so,
amazing is that too? The connection that was part of my healing was the first time I actually felt connected to
yeah.
source, God,
Hmm.
whatever. And then,
Whatever you're.
yeah, I mean, that was the first time I actually think my crown was opened. And this part was the first areas that were unblocked because I think everything was blocked at some point. And I struggled
Hmm.
with the sacral, the solar plexus, and the root a lot. Um,
Yeah.
and I do believe a lot of like the foundation of this incarnation and our human design is designed that way. So when you're on your journey,
Hmm.
you're supposed to unlock and unblock certain things. Go ahead,
Yeah.
sorry.
I think that, everybody, there was another instance that I had a friend you can even do Reiki with pets and animals too.
Mm-hmm.
And I had another friend that their cat was going through some issues and things like that. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to send some Reiki out into the universe for their cat. And don't you know, I actually had to look it up because I was getting some numbness and tingling along the one side of my hand.
Mm,
And I'm like, what is that? I'm looking this up and I'm like, I know it translates to something with your acupressure and your points in your hands and everything. And sure enough, I looked up and that was your stomach area and stuff.
yeah.
And your intestines were along that curve. Um and then when I found out that the cat was having issues and
Those are the
pain along
areas.
that area,
Interesting. So
you
neat.
know,
Yeah. When
and
you like,
how that
does it
you
blow your mind?
yeah, that you felt that pain while you were sending the Reiki out in
Right.
that,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
So
I,
yeah,
I'm I'm more and more blown away at the validation, like for me,
mhm,
for my truth,
yeah,
I guess. I'm gonna say that. Some people hate that, but that's all I can say is like when you get something like that, when you're practicing into something where we think it's outside of ourselves, because we're taught that you don't really
mhm,
have any control over anything, or you're not connected to something. You're just
yeah,
put here on earth and blah blah blah, like we're all figuring this out. But as I've opened up and I do feel that connection now, I do feel like something greater. I'm a gift from God to be here, right? And I'm
yeah,
honoring that, how much
totally.
more exciting it's been. And then I'll do something and it's like, I don't know how this came across my path, and then it's validating because you hear it on some kind of show, or someone shows up in your life and they're talking about that they're doing a similar thing, and you're like, okay, that's what I needed,
Yeah,
I guess.
you need that validation, and so many people believe more in tangible things.
Yeah,
Things that you can touch, things that you can see. Someone giving you research that this leads to this.
right,
Not so much things that are just an unknown thing.
right.
Um, that kind of leads me into, the intuition you were talking about and things that, the signs from the universe and stuff like that happen. I had my uncle had passed away. I think it's like 2 years now,
Yeah,
and so it doesn't seem like that sometimes, but I'm a strong believer in signs from the universe, from your loved ones that pass away. You might see something that reminds you of them,
yeah.
when you're thinking of them or something. But this one was so strong, it blew my mind, like you said. I was in Starbucks a year ago, and there was this man that was in front of me, and I wasn't too sure what was going on. He had a, black puffy jacket on, was very hesitant in ordering his order when it came up to him. And, long story short, he finally was ready to place his order, and he undid his hood, and his hair was black and curly. And the cashier asked for his name, and he said Emmanuel, and that was my uncle's name.
Yeah.
And my uncle also had that black curly hair, and my uncle also had a black puffy jacket that he wore in the wintertime. And it was just like, there's angels, here on earth.
Yes.
There's, here's your sign from the universe. You were thinking about your uncle recently, and here's your sign right in front of you.
Yeah.
So it was just, like you said, just baffling to the mind that something that you don't really believe in, but that's not a tangible thing, but there are signs around you every day,
Yeah.
in the universe, that you are connected to things outside of you,
Yes. I loved the one about the J. Can you share that
Oh,
one?
the J. I saw another J the other day.
Did
I
you?
was almost gonna text you. I was out again. I was out at the post office, and I wasn't gonna sit on the first bench, and I was in Haddonfield, and I went to the second bench, and I guess it was meant that I was supposed to go sit at the second bench, because I looked down, and sure enough, on the ground there was a J
And
from
can
a
you share the
leftover
significance
pizza.
of the letter J to you?
I am not really sure. It has more significance to my mom, because it was a loved one of hers that's passed.
Mm-hmm.
So that had the initial, the name beginning with J. So I'm not sure. I mean, it's someone I knew, someone that was close to me too, but not really as close to me as my mom.
Right, but
So
still, like, as still that symbolism of like we're all
yeah, we're all
connected.
connected, but everywhere I go, I see J's, or like I'm, I this one's really odd. I picked my nail polish off, and what was left was a J on my nail.
I
Like,
I was like shocked when you sent
how
me
do you do that? Like, how does that happen? Like, or there'll be a string of pasta left in the bowl, and it'll be in the shape of a J.
Yeah.
Like,
And you just
um,
start to become more aware
yeah,
and observant, because we tend to get so distracted. We're not
yeah,
even looking at these things. Like you said, we're given
yeah.
signs all the time and we
And
kind of ignore them.
I think maybe like the observant part of me is also because of being an OT. And
Yeah.
that's in my nature, and my training is to observe the small things in everyday life.
Yeah.
So I think I've always been attuned to that. And just going back to the Reiki thing, when you get attuned in level 2, you get these symbols drawn on your hands,
Mm.
and you're attuned then to become a Reiki practitioner, and teach Reiki and provide Reiki to others. And when the symbols were drawn on my hand virtually, physically she, drew them out, and you put your hands up on the screen, but it felt like they were already drawn on my hands when
Yeah.
she did it, and I asked
Mm.
the Reiki master, I'm like, why, could that be, and she's like, it's possible with all of your intuition and everything that's gone on in your life that you could have been a Reiki
You're
master
definitely clairsentient
in
for
your past
sure.
life,
Mm.
so yeah, it's
Yeah.
things are connected in your life, and you just need to look, I think, a little bit more deeply, and like you said, be a little bit more observant to things in the universe.
Yeah. Yeah. I see numbers a lot, and
Yes.
one thing that I can relate to what you're saying is I've always, looking back and tying things in, I like exploring this. Some people might not be their thing, but my numerology, I'm a number 8. And I realized how much I like the infinity, right? And my
Yes.
my logo
There
is
you
an
go.
infinity, and it really is an 8, right?
Yeah.
And I don't doubt that that's all kind of resonates with like my human design, again, going back
Mhm.
to this like map. And for me, it makes sense. A lot of these things that people don't want to maybe be hesitant to explore, or
Yeah.
it's too woo woo or whatever, but for me, it really has helped me understand who I am. I just had a conversation with a girl who did human design, and I'm just blown away that being a generator, how I respond to the world is yes, no, like gut feeling, uh-huh, uh-uh. And I'm like, so true.
Yeah.
I literally run by my gut. I don't know if you have ever done your human design, but
No, I haven't.
you would love it. We'll have to chat on that on another.
Yeah, we do.
But even with Reiki, it's amazing how in a session, after for me doing hypnosis, I didn't really know what the theta space felt like. But when I did Reiki, a physical Reiki with someone,
Hmm.
I tapped deeply into theta and started communicating, dragons and things I was seeing in like another dimensional space. So this is very real. Like these things happen. And once you're open to it and you allow yourself to receive, it's amazing what comes through.
It is, like, I've been having some discussions with other friends to try and open them up more, I think, to like what we're talking about, like
Yeah.
Reiki and other like complementary
Hmm.
therapies.
Yeah.
So it's not such a taboo or, like you
Yeah.
said, woo like topic, so that they are more open to, oh, hey, yeah, let me just try it, and see, let's practice. Let's see what you get out of it or whatever. I even had a discussion with one of my doctors recently about it, about
Yeah.
Reiki, and he was interested really in seeing how it could help, maybe his patients.
Yeah.
Um
I think it's
so
great for people to open up and unlock what's inside.
mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and just learning a little bit more about those things that aren't so cut and dry, you
Right.
know. Um
And so tangible all the time, like
mhm.
it's okay to trust that sometimes we can't see the
Yeah, and
unseen.
that maybe adding some of those things on might help you a little bit more,
Absolutely.
and add to your life.
Yeah. And
So,
you wonder someone like your sister, like Robyn, what she has going on, outside of the tangible things, because for her to have gone
oh
through the
yeah.
journey that she's gone through, there's got to be some other
Yeah, there
non-physical
has to
thing
be
going on
something.
there.
Yeah, there has to be. I mean, someone has to be watching over her for all the time
Absolutely.
that she's been in and out of the hospital and very close to situations
Yeah. Yeah.
um, throughout her surgeries and stuff that were very critical. So, yeah, you
Well,
just
I'm
want to
grateful
make.
for whoever's protecting her, the guides or whatever's going on there. Keep,
Yeah, we are. We're equally as protective and
yeah.
equally as
Keep that going.
filled with gratitude for all of that.
Yeah.
Um,
Awesome.
yeah.
So,
So besides the Reiki,
yeah, let's
I've
talk about
I've also gotten into the creative arts. So I
yes.
have another avenue for I've always been creative, but also another outlet for some relaxation and some income too. But I've gotten into resin art.
Yeah.
So
Tell us a little
for
bit
people,
about that.
yeah, so for people don't know, it's kind of almost like a glass kind of thing where you kind of cure some substances and makes a chemical reaction, and you can pretty much do anything with it. I find I've also kind of combined some nature in with it too. So I really love pressing flowers and preserving flowers and then putting them in resin, seashells, things from the beach, um, pretty much a whole bunch of different things, using inspirational quotes and messages with them,
It's great.
some lighted sculptures, just a whole bunch of different things. And now I kind of the next avenue, want to combine my Reiki and my resin into together with a couple of pieces.
Oh, that's
Um,
fun.
yeah, which is something I learned when I was in the course, that there was another artist in there that had a discussion briefly about Reiki-infused art, where you
Mm,
kind of before or after the art's created, you kind of go through your Reiki and with the art before giving it to the owner. So
great.
it kind of puts on
Almost like a
another,
cleansing or clearing.
yeah, it kind of
Kind of.
puts on another level to
Yeah.
having a healing piece of art,
Healing. I love
given
it.
to some,
Healing art. It's
yeah,
great.
healing.
You should think
So,
about maybe even putting in like the school, something like where you were working, right? Every
yeah,
every schoolroom has a piece of Reiki art or something, to help.
Yeah.
keep the vibration, like the
Keep the
positive
vibration up.
vibration
Yeah.
up, that,
Yeah.
and yeah,
Hospitals
absolutely.
would be really good.
Oh, absolutely.
You know,
Yes.
places that, nursing homes, places like that,
Yeah.
that need that vibration raised, and
And you could just give it as a gift. Hey, I just want to donate some gifts, right?
that's how you start. Yeah.
Or
Right.
even like
So
piece of artwork on the wall. It could be
this
like,
is
I don't know if you
one.
could ever put that on the wall, but
Yeah,
that's
this is
cool.
all, you see the studio area
Yeah.
that I have. This is all my molds and my containers of preserved
Yeah.
flowers that are really behind me. But this is one that I'm gonna actually do. It's a preserved dandelion in resin.
That's so
So
cool.
this is one that I'm actually going to probably, do as a Reiki
How do
infused
you get it
piece
in
of
there?
art. Very tricky. It's a secret process. There's
Yeah.
a square mold that I use, and then you have to slowly, put it in there and slowly pour the resin in layers so it will.
Wow, that is so neat.
Yeah. So, and
Very
then
cool.
there's another little pocket heart that I'm probably gonna do too.
That's
Well,
neat. Oh, is that a heart?
yeah, it's a little heart,
I
pocket
love
heart.
it.
I made a little poem to go along with it
Can
that
you
you can
read
take
it?
wherever you are. It's called the You Are Loved Pocket Heart. So, here's the poem I wrote. When you're feeling low and sad, just take this heart in your hand, rub it back and forth to feel its warmth. Soon you'll know you are loved wherever you may go.
I love that.
So, those are
Well,
just
you
some little.
have so many gifts and talents. I'm so glad that you're sharing that and sharing it today. Like,
Yeah, well, thank you.
thank you. Thank you for even like finding an interest to come on. Like, I
Well, I
would
did.
say, what's that?
I did. I mean, I just find this, what you were doing so interesting, with all the different people that you're reaching out to,
Yeah. Thank
and
you.
supporting you in your journey and everything too.
I
So,
appreciate that. I know you had mentioned some other ways to connect with others too. And I just love it. I
yeah,
love being able to
yeah,
hear what people are doing. I mean, I was so pleasantly surprised to hear you. And it matters to me because it's like people in my immediate circle
mhm,
we're connected on this other way that we never would have probably even talked about unless,
yeah.
one of us brought
Yeah,
it
I
up.
mean, there's so much more to even talk about,
Oh
like,
my gosh.
crystals and the use of crystals. And have you ever gotten your aura photographed?
I did. I got
Did
it
you?
done in Salem, Massachusetts.
Oh, wow.
Just a couple weeks ago.
I so want to go get that done.
I was on a retreat. And
Yeah.
I forget
We had
exactly what she
talked.
said, but I kind of already knew. But you could see there were like spiritual beings around me. And
Yeah, we had talked about that in the
oh
course
yeah,
because
that's right. We
my
did
Reiki
talk about.
master had went, before she saw her brother that had passed away, and after she saw her brother that passed away, and the difference was
Oh
so.
wow. That's so
Yeah,
cool. Oh
yeah.
yeah, there's so much stuff that we could go over. I actually have my chakras necklace on today too
Oh, do
with the
you?
copper.
Very cool. Very
Copper's
cool.
very helpful. It protects from, the frequencies. And this is a real thing too. Like
Yeah.
I want people to know, like nature's gifts are there for us for healing.
Mhm.
There's a girl that I want to interview. I'm so glad we talked about it. Where she's like, she speaks of plants and she says plants will
Uh-huh.
grow in your yard that you would never picture that would be there because it's medicine for you. They'll sense what you need and they'll grow and be there. And we're just never taught what all these weeds
Yeah.
and plants
Yeah.
are. But she's talked about that. And just like, I'm watching this guy on permaculture and how he uses copper and how the copper protects from all the radiation and other frequencies that are affecting your
Mhm.
soil. And how the crops have grown like double in size.
Wow.
So that's why I love the copper. And like just what we talked about with our chakras, we do have a system that we get our energy from. And that's why when our
Yeah.
energy is depleted, it's because either it's blocked, somebody's taking that energy from you.
Yeah. Yeah.
We talk about energy vampires, Brian and I, they're real. Like if you allow it, they'll take it.
Yeah. And when I was doing the coursework, everybody kept saying that they could feel it in my throat, that it was my
Mm,
communication area.
yeah.
And at that point, it was true because I was having a big problem, communicating, specific needs with someone.
Mm,
So they could sense that's what
yeah.
the issue was, that was blocked.
Yeah.
Uh, so, it's true. You can find out so much about yourself through these certain things, the
Absolutely.
chakra,
Yeah.
Reiki, like you said, hypnosis, meditation
Mhm.
is very good for your
Yeah.
body. Um,
All of it
yeah,
too is really getting in a relaxed state because it's
yeah.
silencing all the things, the out and the external, and really allowing the internal. Because once you do the internal work, sometimes it brings up stuff where you're like, oh,
I
yeah,
don't
it's
want to know that, but oh
exactly.
yeah, like and when I was doing it, like after the Reiki, I was so tight, like my scalene muscles and everything in the one side of my neck were so tight. And after that second day, all relaxed in that
Oh,
area. Like,
wonderful.
and I'm taking medicine for
Hmm.
anxiety
Yeah,
prior to the Reiki course, and I haven't had to take
good for you.
the anxiety medicine in like
That's really great.
6 months, maybe I haven't had to take it.
Hmm.
So, I mean, that's just a testimony to doing this self Reiki and doing this other
Right.
work on yourself that you might not be able to always have to go to something like that tangible, like a medication or something like that
Absolutely.
in your body.
Right.
Um,
And I think the more that you explore and find out the root of where the anxiety is coming from. We're not born with all these things. These things come into
yeah.
us for some reason, right?
Mhm.
And it's okay to explore them rather than just pop a pill and just like
Yeah.
let's just get rid of it.
Yeah.
I think that when you have healing and even if you don't even understand where that comes from, I mean, let's just say if it is a throat thing, right? And it's a throat
Mhm.
chakra and you're not speaking your truth, you're not feeling heard, right? But through the healing and you clear that, and all of a sudden that feeling of like, I feel like I am being heard. I feel okay.
Yeah.
Um, I lost my throat. I lost my voice. I don't know if you can still hear that I'm a little raspy,
Yeah, I
but I
can.
lost my voice on Friday, and it didn't come back till like Monday. And I had to cancel a whole bunch of stuff because I was just like not ready
Yeah. Not
to
ready.
do anything. This is the first actual like video I've done since then. And I often was thinking about it. I'm like, I really don't think I was being heard. I think I was people pleasing a little bit, and
Yeah.
maybe I needed to silence. I think it was a solar eclipse, and
Oh, yes.
all that I read
And
about the solar eclipse, I was feeling
barometric
everything.
pressure, the barometric pressure and
Absolutely.
things in the environment really can mess with your energy.
Yeah.
And that's
I mean,
why
we're all energy, right?
I know. And I appreciate you moving, when I texted you about moving it because it was my energy was off. And I didn't want to
Yeah.
like we're going through, the demolition in our house for my sister's accessible bathroom. But it
Yeah.
wasn't just that. It's the energy right now going through with some situations with, dealing with my close friend and, being on that hospice thing and my energy was off. So I
Yeah.
knew I wasn't going to be ready the way I needed to be ready that at that time, you
Yeah.
know?
Well, I appreciate you. And I didn't want to
So,
cancel us because I've canceled everything
no,
else this week.
no,
I'm
I
like, I'll
didn't
keep it.
either. So I was like, all right, let me see if I just move it, then I'll be, more in
I
focus
love
and
it.
stuff
I hope
better,
it was okay for you. This was great.
No, this was great. I'd love to do this. We can even dive deeper, into something
Absolutely.
else.
We could do this again. Most people that I have on, I think I'm going to start. I mean, I'm at the year mark. I'm almost at
Mhm.
a year
Wow.
doing this. Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And I think I'm going to start revisiting some other people that have come on, and we'll chat a little bit more about other topics.
Yeah, I mean, I
And
think that's definitely a good thing to revisit, see if things have changed, what else,
oh,
other
yeah.
information you've learned. Um, yeah, I think I probably could.
And we should
You
definitely
should,
do a session together and we can share about the experience. I would love to do that with you if you want to do it.
yes.
Awesome.
Yeah, I definitely want to do that.
Awesome. Exactly. Well, I want to thank my audience for tuning in today. And if you like this kind of content, please like and subscribe to the Conscious Broadcast. And we will see you next time on another episode. Have a lovely day.